Coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here in New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Anthony Rose. What a game last night. As you mentioned it, big game from Steph Curry. Poole reinvigorated. However, some of the key role players that contributed to that Game 1 win did not show up in Game 2 for the Celtics. Of course, I am talking about the three starters that had 2 points each. Horford, Smart, and Robert Williams III. What happened last night, and what do you expect to happen in Boston?
Well, a couple of things. When you look at those stats, the limited volume. Like, it's one thing to say they only had 2 points each, but they only attempted 11 total shots. And so they're going to need to be more aggressive. And a lot of that had to do with not only the 18 turnovers, and that's why I want to stress this, but the 15 steals. Like, that takes you out of everything you're trying to do when they're taking the ball away from you. For Al Horford in particular, they're going to need him to make his three-point shot to open up the floor. Like, they look so different when he was making his three, because they're now driving lanes for Tatum, driving lanes for Brown. And Marcus Smart just has to shoot better, play better. He's improved as an offensive player, but he has to give you more points. I anticipate that happening when they return home and playing in front of their fans.
Before the series started, one of the keys that I had for the Celtics is the health of Robert Williams III. They need him to be the Time Lord. They need the Time Lord to be the Time Lord, to erase shots at the rim, to catch lobs. And last night, he just did not look like himself. And as you mentioned so astutely, Mr. Rose, one shot attempt for Robert Williams III. That's not necessarily on him because he relies on others to get his shot attempts, but that just needs to change for them to be successful. Robert Williams III needs to be healthy and be more impactful.
But Jacoby, here's the thing. He's injured. He's hobbled. Like, he can barely he's like running on his toes, almost like if he puts his heel on the ground, it's gonna be painful. And so what happens is he gets one shot attempt because he isn't changing ends of the floor like he normally does. He isn't cutting as quick as he normally does. Therefore, he isn't as available for the drop pass or the lob that he normally gets. And so if he's not gonna be able to do that consistently, just watch for them to move Al Horford to the 5. I know they're trying to get Tice some minutes, but I just see him as being an ineffective player in this series. So I look for Al Horford to play a lot more minutes at the 5 with Brown and Tatum and Grant Williams circling out what they're doing up front. But I anticipate a better effort clearly from the Boston Celtics in Game 3 than they displayed in Game 2.
It was a great performance from the Warriors. Anyone who watched the first game and said, ooh, maybe the Celtics are too physical and too defensive for this Warriors team must feel differently today. However, there is still cause for concern for the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson. Steph Curry didn't play in the fourth quarter. Klay Thompson did. It seemed like they were trying to get him some buckets, to get him some rhythm going into the Boston part of the series, but he still wasn't himself, missing not just shots, but open shots. Jalen, what has happened with Klay, and how do they change it so he can contribute when they go to Boston?
I got you, family. So it lowers the percentage of make or miss when the shot is contested, except when you Klay Thompson. It's a make or miss league. So I'm not going to really say because they were contesting the shots he was missing. But I want to tell you, this is why he was missing. They was making him dribble that ball.
Oh, yeah.
You remember when Klay Thompson had 60 points in an NBA game? He only took 11 dribbles.
Wow.
You saw him dribble 11 times in these highlights, lowlights. And what are they doing? They're running him off the three. See, it's one thing to contest. It makes it a make or miss. You see Al Horford contest, you see Pritchard contest. But it's another thing to run him off the line and force him to dribble the ball. At this stage of his career, and after the injuries that he's had a couple of years in a row, his wheels ain't the same and getting into like a 1 and 2 dribble move where he can go finish. And you're right, they tried to leave him in late to get him going until he went to the basket and tried to dunk. And he got fouled and he got hit against the backstop.
Stanchion, yep.
And it was like, hold on. I guess we should probably get him out of the game, because that's what I was thinking when I was watching the game. But in all honesty, I'm not worried about Klay. The thing I'm worried about are the Boston Celtics bigs gonna give me the type of production I saw throughout this series, throughout these playoffs. Not only offensively, when they won Game 7 against the Bucks, Grant Williams led them in scoring. He gotta stop letting the refs affect him so much. Like, when he get in the game, like, I ain't gonna lie, if I played against him, I'd be like, we gotta get a couple of fouls on him and he done. Like, all you gotta do is get a couple of fouls on him and he done. He looking at the ref. And see, that's Draymond's game. And see, this is what happens. Draymond is not a shooter or a scorer. So he can play in the mud. He ain't gotta be graceful out there. He ain't trying to like launch jumpers from the corner. But Grant Williams is. So he gotta stay locked in psychologically. And I think Ime Udoka's leadership and the great coaching that the Boston Celtics staff has done all year, they're gonna grab the young fella, put their arm around him. They're gonna show him the clips of him getting too much into the officiating and allow him to work himself back into the series. They're gonna need him to be productive.
Jalen, sometimes we get the great mic'd up sound from the players, and sometimes the microphones pick up some things the players say. There's one point last night during the game when Draymond Green is looking at Grant Williams and saying, "You're not me, you're not me, you wish you were me, you wish you were me." And there's a part of that that played out on the court in Game 2. Jalen, it is time for one of our signature segments, cultural or regional. Now, I'm going to be honest, there's not too much debate about whether this one is cultural or regional, but we had to show you the video. Every year they have the cheese rolling contest somewhere in the United Kingdom.
Get your people, man.
Get your people, man. We laugh at the
Get your people, man.
people falling down.
Get your people,
hates
man.
to fall. That's one thing I love about this is Jalen has an anti-falling stance. So
Correct.
This is just not for you. Is this cultural or regional?
This is definitely cultural. And here's the one thing I want to say about this. Like, what happens when you get the cheese? So here's the difference. So like, your people say cheese and they roll down the hill to chase that cheese. My people roll down the hill to taste the green cheese. You know what I'm saying? That's what we would be falling down the hill to try to get. So please tell me what's happening here, fam.
I have no idea. They don't even seem like they're going after the cheese. It doesn't even look like they're even going after the cheese. I think they're just doing it because they like to roll and fall. How did this even start? Why is it still happening? I can't even explain this one for my people. But we have a lot more to explain and some interesting news that has nothing to do with the finals from the NBA. We'll tell you what. He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
What they want.
The people wanted a tight series. That's exactly